Good morning. I love that song. And I watched it a lot, watched the video a lot, listened to the song a lot, so I wouldn't be all teary and stuff, but here I am. And happy Pride Month, by the way. Yes. Happy Pride Month for June. How shall we live? And the reason I brought this song up, there are some lines in the song I wanted to share with you, in case you didn't pick it up, because I didn't use the version with the lyrics in it, because I thought that one was so cool. If you're not familiar with the song, I will share some of the lyrics that caught my attention. I was diagnosed with the fear of getting too close. Water. I had to tell the ones I love I was on the ropes. I'm not the only one whose life's been pulled apart, spending 1 year and 3 months in the dark. So here we are, all dressed to kill. Where should we go? Into the wild again to face the great unknown and have the midnight conversations. Excuse me, you and I postponed. You saved my life, not once but twice. You keep me free from falling. You saved my life, make it all right. When I don't feel like talking, you make sure I always see the daylight. This month, we were talking about service. And today, we're talking about how we show up in service with each other. With the significant people. With the significant people in our lives, our friends, our families, our fellow travelers on the journey, people we know, people we don't know. How do we connect? What are we looking for? What are we seeking? We're here on the planet together because it takes more than one of us to do it. If I'm to be in service, I need to show up, be present. I need to have a sense of delight in the experience of life. I need to be attuned to what's going on around me. I develop rituals and routines around how I show up, around how I take care of myself, around how I take care of others. And then in the midst of conflict, I learn to turn towards myself and towards others in order to resolve that conflict. Take the time to pause and be present. To take the time to express how it is I'm feeling, to allow myself the space to be imperfect. How many of you are perfect? At my core and center, yes, we believe we are whole, complete, and perfect in every way. Absolutely. And sometimes we don't show up that way. Sometimes I know I don't show up. I won't speak for you. I'll speak for myself. Sometimes I don't show up that way. Sometimes I fall short of that. At least what I think that is and how that looks. So how do I get to show up for others? How do I get to be that daylight individual? To harken back to the song. How do I get to be that spark of daylight for somebody else? Gandhi says this: the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in service to others. The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in service to others. Hmm. You see, there's when I read that, it made me hearken back to an often used saying that I've been guilty of using myself over and over again. It's like, how can I love somebody fully when I don't fully love myself? Hmm. How do I express love to somebody else when I'm not loving me? And I toyed with that idea for a while, and I kind of came to this conclusion. It's like, what's the possibility that in being in service and being present and choosing to show up for somebody else, be present, be in service, stay connected, what if in the process of doing that, I am learning to love me too? Maybe that learning to love others and learning to love me is its own progressive circle of growth. What's the possibility that says when I show up for others, when I decide to get outside of my comfort zone, and it does take that sometimes, what if when I do that, I am opening myself up to a greater expression of me, a greater experience of me, of learning more about me in the process? An example of this may be in, I think it's Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, where he talks about seeking first to understand before being understood. So if I'm in relationship with somebody else and we're having a conversation, how often am I framing my response before they're done speaking? What if I learned to just be present and listen and then pause and really review and think about what that person said before responding? Because maybe I don't even need to respond. Maybe they don't even want me to respond. Maybe what they want is for me to just show up and listen. Maybe what they want is for me to show up and be empathetic and simply be present. And if I feel like there is some advice present or some guidance I can provide, asking permission, asking consent before offering that. Hmm. There's always learning and growing to do. And learning to be in service is learning to love more and simply accept people as they are more. And learning to be in service with others demands that I become more conscious of what it is I'm about. Becoming more conscious about what it is I'm feeling on the inside. And what it is I have to share. And what it is I have to become. And how it is I have to get out of my own way and move through my own anxieties, my own fears, my own whatever it is that's keeping me trapped in my own self. Because I'm so afraid to show myself that I isolate. Because maybe somewhere back in my history, and I expressed my whole self, I was told, no, 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 I don't have room for that. Or no, 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 you can't be like that with me. And what I heard was, you can't be like that. I've had messages like that in my own past. And I isolated and I struggled. And I fell prey to addiction and all kinds of things resulted from me deciding that I wasn't okay. That it wasn't okay to be fully me and be fully present and express myself as I am. Yeah, I'm still working through that stuff. And that's okay. That's why songs like that hit me hard. Joseph Worthlin, I'd never heard of this guy. You ever heard of this guy before? Writes this: kindness is a passport that opens doors. Kindness is a passport that opens doors and fashions friends. It softens hearts and molds relationships that can last lifetimes. Sometimes it's a matter of showing up and just being a good person. Can I be kind? Can I be accepting? Can I be supportive? Can I celebrate? Can I celebrate you? And how do I learn to celebrate me? There are lots of ways. Wear a fun shirt. Take yourself out for dinner. I remember the first time I did that as an adult. The first time I just took myself out to dinner because I wanted to. It was kind of strange, kind of odd. And I settled into it. And I learned to be comfortable with it. And what I realized is that I was really not that comfortable with just being me, just me with me, out in public doing something where we generally expect there to be somebody else across the table or across the booth. It's an odd feeling the first time you do it. But I did it. And it was okay. It was kind of fun. Can I go out into the world and just celebrate being me with me? Is that okay? And I know I've thrown a lot of questions out today already. And there are so many answers. And only you can come up with a lot of these answers for you. Because we get to make the choices about how we grow. We get to make the choices about how we do what we do and how we become more of who we are. It's about tapping into this sense of givingness that is inside of us that says, this is love. This is love being love through me. This is love being love as it expresses as me. This is spirit, the spirit of life moving through me. God expressing as each and every one of us, reaching out to recognize itself through you, through me, through you, everybody. We become so attuned to the ebb and flow of life as it moves all around us. We begin remembering. It's like when Katie and I were up at the creek, the river yesterday. We walked out under the rocks. And I sat out on a rock in the middle of the creek, and I turned and looked upstream, and I got totally lost in the flow of the river. Totally lost in it. And then Katie decided to be funny and splashed me with the cold water on my back. I let out a very loud expletive, inappropriate one, because I was really I was in the zone. I was in the zone, not expecting it. But it was awesome. It was amazing. It was one of those moments And I've had that, I've had those moments with other people in my life as well. We've had those moments. You get lost in somebody's eyes. When you're totally comfortable just sitting and being with somebody and you don't have to talk to fill the space. Where you can just be. For me, it's an experience of grace. And Ernest Holmes has this to say about grace. We are saved by grace to the extent that we believe in, accept, and seek to embody the law of good. For the law of good is ever a law of liberty and never one of limitation. Limitation is not a thing, not an entity, but a belief. Freedom is a divine reality. Grace is the givingness of spirit to its creation. The givingness of spirit to his creation. And we can express that givingness, or this givingness, as we experience it here on Sundays and whenever we gather. Because we recognize the activity of spirit through each of us, as each of us. It surrounds us, enfolds us, lifts us up, moves us forward, inspires us to do, be, and express something beyond what has gone before. Something beyond what we have known or experienced or expressed before. It is always moving for us to expand, and we do that individually, and we do it in relationship with each other. We show up for each other to reflect to each other something greater. And that happens when we show up by being present, by courting, what I call courting, consciously courting the presence in each other. How can I call that forward for you? How can I hold space for you for a greater expression of you? And I begin that by being present with you as you are, accepting all of you as you are. That's where we begin. And I could do that and at the same time hold a higher vision, hold a greater image of you, because I can sense the divinity in you because I know it's in me too. And that takes vulnerability. That takes being willing to show up and let the walls down. Brene Brown writes this. She writes, through my research, her research, I have found that vulnerability is the glue that holds relationships together. Can I gather together the courage to bring all of me present? Because only in doing that am I really able to allow you to do the same. If I'm going to show up in support of you, I bring all of me as much as I can. That too is a place we grow into. Vulnerability is a place we grow into. Like love is a place we can let grow. Or joy. We allow ourselves to grow. And we do that by continuing to show up, continuing to be present, continuing to celebrate. continuing to, in the presence of chaos, however that chaos shows up, continuing to turn back towards ourselves and back towards our family, back towards that higher vision of how we want to express and live. We keep turning towards wholeness and turning towards love. Surrendering to love, to the givingness of spirit in relationship to others is the path to self-love and self-realization. Doing that, recognizing the higher vision of ourselves, recognizing that there is this divine power and presence that is greater than we are, that is moving through us, and we are slowly, surely, constantly awakening to it. To it. And that leads me to our spiritual practice for the week. So, our spiritual practice for the week is this: in being in service to others. The gift of service is given through our availability and conscious awareness of our connection to others. This week, take time to check in with yourself, to be aware of how present and available you are to life, to yourself, to the people around you, the people you care about. If you notice you come up short in any area, that's all by our own self-assessment. We do that. This week, ask how we can become more present and available. How can I become more present and available? So, with that, now it's your turn, friends. Questions, comments? What's that? Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Whoop. Go ahead, Valerie.
Yes, Diane said it well. That was a wonderful speech, Reverend Lee. And really, this is the core of who we are, relationship with others. So, yeah, you hit home again. So thank you for that. Yeah,
Thank you.
really moved me.
I don't get the self-love stuff. I mean, it seems like, you're being so, what's the word I want to use, Reverend Joe? What? Egotistical, yeah.
Oh.
I mean, because, when we're going through life, we understand kind of the reasons we're doing things and the kind of when we miss the point. So I just don't get that.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
I mean, I think I'm okay, you're okay. I know I do the best I can every day. But the loving part, I don't know about that.
Okay. Are you looking for a response?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I'll speak for myself, right? Self-love for me is about holding myself in high regard. Not in comparison to anybody else, not relative to anybody else, not having nothing to do with her. It's like when I wake up in the morning and I go up and I look in the mirror, am I okay with me? Not with just with what I see, but how I behave, but how I am behaving in the world. Am I comfortable with that? Can I look at me and be as happy with me as I am with many of my friends? Am I as accepting? For myself, it has been a journey, because I can look back at my life and look at some of the things I've done and just go, I can take the velvet hammer out and just beat on myself all day long if I want to, if I allow myself to. But coming to a sense of peace and acceptance that says, you know what? Yeah, I made a mistake and I learned from it and I've grown and I'm a new person now. So, am I happy with me? Self-love. Am I happy with me? Can I practice a sense of compassion with me to the same degree that I'm very, very easily can do with others in my life? Am I as forgiving with myself as I am with others? For me in my life, I have a long history of being, it's very easy for me to forgive, to have compassion, da, 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 da. If I make a mistake, forget it. It's on in my head for days. Okay? I'm better today than I was a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Better today than I was a week ago. I've had my own little awakenings in the last week around some of that. So for me, that describes self-love. Does that help?
Yes, because I think, each of us, or at least I am always a work in progress.
Sure.
So, I'm more introspective and more caring about what I say, how I show up than I was like 10 years ago.
Sure.
So I can see and I appreciate that. But I
Right.
guess it's just the love part that kind of gets me a little confused. But I got it now.
You got it now? All right. Cool. Good. Anybody else? Okay. All right. Anybody over here? Nope. All right. Just checking. All right. Let's pray then. A little affirmative prayer here, and we'll just take all this and put it in practice. And so this morning we recognize the one power and presence that is this infinite spirit, infinite life and love and truth and joy. So much. And it's in this that we live and move and have our being, and it in us. It moves through us, surrounds us, lifts us up. It is love. Divine love. Showing up as each and every one of us right here and right now. And so as we move forward into the rest of this day, into the week, we do so with open minds and open hearts. We set aside any fear, doubt, or uncertainty, allowing it to be swept away by our sure and certain acceptance of the expression of something greater than we are through us. We take time this week to be still and know. We take time this week to allow the presence to move through us, to guide us forward, to show up for ourselves and for our friends and for each other in ways that are safe and secure, that allow us to be a secure base and a safe harbor for each other, where there is acceptance and celebration, joy and enthusiasm, where we celebrate life as it expresses through each and every one of us. And we know and celebrate and accept this truth for each other, for our community here, for our larger Scottsdale community, the state of Arizona, the country, the world. It is true of anybody, anywhere, practicing their own spirituality in whatever form that takes. We know right there is the presence of God. And so grateful. We are so very, very grateful, knowing that all this is true, that God is good. Spirit and life and truth and beauty are good as each and every one of us. Yes. Thank you, Infinite Spirit. Thank you, Father, Mother God. We know it is already done, already complete, already fulfilled in us right here and right now. And so we let it be. And so it is.
Yes.